Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Yes, we are back at it and ready to have some fun with one of my favorite topics. So I had a subscriber, one of my buddies, reached out and he asked me this question a while ago and I forgot, so I apologize, but I'm now addressing it. And he said, "Hey Judge, what are like 4 or 5 bottles that you always restock, right? So ones that, obviously there's a ton of different bottles out there and we all have, numerous different bottles. But what are 5 bottles that no matter what, when you see them, once you're running low, you always restock that bottle?" So I thought that was actually a good question. So we're going to dive through these 5. I am going to go back and add a nice little asterisk as well today. But before we kick it off, I want to give a huge shout out to my newest patron, my good friend Andy Spencer. So Andy, thank you for your support for becoming a patron, as well as the support from all my other patrons as well. A lot of people have been with me for a long time, so I do appreciate the support, the love, and as we call it, the Judge family. So thank you all for your support. Cheers to my patrons, as well as thank you for all the subscribers, everyone who watches the channel on a weekly basis. All right. Last thing I'll call out is that I did have a subscriber reach out asking about the mini Glens. So you can get a set of these for $35. Just reach out to me and we'll coordinate logistics. Cool? All right. So these are 5 that, again, as soon as the bottle gets low, it doesn't matter what, I am going to go out and do my best to restock this bottle each and every time. So I don't think I've ever had these 5 where, like, in my household, it's not in stock. Literally, they're always in stock, no matter what, as well as my asterisk as well. All right, so these are not in order in terms of like preference. These are just 5 bottles, and what you'll see is these 5 are actually ones that sit on the shelf. So there's like none of these, other than the asterisk, are highly allocated, or you have to go to like 5 different stores and have like a connection or win a lottery. It's not like that. These are just 5 bottles that I personally love, and no matter what, I'm always going to have them in this courtroom in my house. Cool? All right. Coming to number 1 spot. Truly, one of Kentucky's finest whiskeys available to all of us without any honey, anywhere from like $60, $65, just kind of depends. Sometimes I've even seen it for cheaper, but amazing whiskey. And again, this never leaves my house. Never. I always have a backup. Old Forester 1920. I was actually torn because I was thinking 1920 or 1910. I could have grabbed either or. I have 1910 upstairs as well, but 1920 is one, no matter what. Like, this one is getting pretty low. As soon as it gets down to here, I'm going for my backup. But don't worry, I always have a backup with this bottle. It's just such great quality whiskey that no matter the place, no matter the time, from new whiskey drinkers to even experienced whiskey drinkers can truly love Old Forester products. Again, we're talking about Old Forester 1920, right? A great product for a great price. So that's number 1. So what comes in the second spot? Numero 2. Number 2. Man, as you can tell, I do love myself some cask strength whiskeys. And this one is technically not a bourbon, it's a whiskey. It's a Tennessee whiskey. I don't know how you can even not have this in your house at all times. I think I have one on every floor. This is Jack Daniel's single barrel proof Tennessee whiskey. Again, honestly, I think, what I love about Jack Daniel's is probably in the last 3 to 5 years, they really changed their brand as a whole. They're coming out with various different products. And this barrel strength whiskey is just flat out amazing. Always has a nice punch. And what I love about the Jack Daniel's barrel proof whiskey is that if you can find a single barrel of it, it might even be better, depending on who obviously, of course, picked the barrel. But I do know some stores in the past that did some single barrels with Jack Daniel's, and they were just flat out amazing. Again, $65 bottle, sits on the shelf like the regular bottles, not the single barrels, but not the like a store pick, but the regular ones sit on the shelf. $65, great whiskey, and it can hang with any of the cask strength whiskeys out there. Literally any of them. That, make sure you note that. All right, what's coming in the number 3 spot? So we're in the middle of the list. I gotta change up a little bit. Rather than the bourbon or Tennessee whiskey, I have to go to a rye. And while I do love a lot of different ryes out there, this is one that, for me, it just hits home. I think it's the quintessential bourbon drinker's rye. I'm going to repeat that for you. It's the quintessential bourbon drinker's rye. Why is that, Judge? It's because this rye whiskey has a lot of corn in the mash bill as a secondary ingredient in the mash bill. So for me, it sips like perfect as a rye because it does have a lot of sweetness in there as well because of that high corn in the mash bill. None other than Pikesville. Pikesville rye coming from Heaven Hill. $50, $55. Kind of depends on where you're at. Every store is different, right? But about $50, $55. Great whiskey. Sits on shelves, as it says here on the back, aged at least 6 years. And what I love about Pikesville rye is the fact that rye drinkers love Pikesville, and even bourbon drinkers that recently crossed over also love Pikesville. It's just a great product. And for the most part, you might have to go to a store or two, but you're going to find Pikesville after just going to a store or two, but not really no true hunting per se. Make sense? All right. Real quick, I need 3 quick, easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know. Give me 5 bottles from your current house that you always keep in stock. And last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notification each and every time I release new content. All right, my friends. Cheers. Woo. All right. Number 4 is actually what I'm sipping. Let's call this the grandfather of the double oaked. We all know what it is. So this one by far is a hitter each and every day. Woodford Reserve Double Oak. I think it's honestly truly the grandfather of double oak. I know nowadays everyone's doing double oak, right? I mean, almost every distillery has a double oak product, but they, in my opinion, were the grandfather. They were doing it the best from the beginning. And when you think of double oaked Woodford, again, kind of like the Jack Daniels, if you can find a really good store pick of a Woodford double oaked, it's even that much better. I have a couple of those too in my backup inventory, but this one is actually not an actual store pick. But the Woodford Reserve double oaked, folks, oh my gosh, $60 bottle ish, right? Depending on where you're at. Great quality, great proof, right? That 90 proof point goes down. It's just so sweet and elegant. It's such a great pour. You can sip it neat. You can sip it with a cigar. I mean, it's just a quintessential great double oak product. This is always in my house, at least 1 or 2 bottles. And I think right now I might have 3. No judgment. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Woodford double oak product as a whole. All right, we are coming to number 5, almost at the end of the road, almost, before we get to the asterisk. The number 5 product, man, this whiskey is like, it kind of reminds me of Jack Daniel's barrel strength whiskey because of the intensity of it. Typically, great product. The standard releases, which come out a couple times per year, are fantastic. But if you can also find a really good store pick, similar to these two, if you can find a really good store pick, I've had some store picks that are just like, you would close your eyes and say, oh my gosh, this is probably one of the best whiskeys I've ever had in my life. But you might know what I'm talking about. Number 5, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I grabbed an old school one here. This is C920. I know I went old school. But honestly, I've had some other store picks that are fantastic. Even the most recent ones from 2023, they're also fantastic. So, I mean, when you talk about a core lineup of products that will always be in the judge's courtroom, these 5 whiskeys will always be in my household, no matter what, day in, day out. All right, so we have the 5, but you're probably wondering, Judge, come on, let us know. Give us a sneak peek of, let's just call it, the asterisk, right? Why is it the asterisk? Give us a sneak peek. Come on, Judge. So this whiskey is the asterisk because it's definitely a little bit higher on a price standpoint. Of these 5, it's the only one that is truly allocated. But for me, I always have a bottle of it in my house. In fact, I have a couple. One of my good friends and patrons reached out and he was like, hey, Judge, I got the hookup on one of these bottles. Do you want one? And I was so appreciative. But I said, thank you. You go ahead, buy it for yourself. I already have a couple in my inventory. Trust me. I always have this bottle. And what I love about this bottle is that, A, it's amazing. You can sip it neat. You can sip it with a cigar. It's a little bit pricey, but I think day in, day out, each and every batch is just flat out ridiculous. This bottle right here, I'm always on the lookout for it, no matter what. No matter what. Until I get enough, which I have enough right now. Mrs. Judge even put the kibosh. No more buying Joseph Magnus cigar blend. So this is my asterisk. And this is an unopened bottle here. This is batch 36. Like I said, I'm pretty deep on Joseph Magnus cigar blends. It's just, I think Nancy Fraley, the master blender for Joseph Magnus, I think while she works with a lot of brands, this by far, in my humble opinion, is the best product that she is putting out on the market. It's so good. It's just an experience. You want to talk about an experience? This is an experience in whiskey itself. From the nose to the palate to the finish, it's such a refined and great quality product. Hands down, definitely one of my favorite products out there as a whole, for sure. One of them, for sure. All right, my friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and as we say, most important, salute. Take care. Be in my household, in the Georges, the Judges. Come back. That will always be in the come back. Shit. Oh, gosh. That will always be